Well, hey there, you're on the internet, I have some free time, and welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's look at an ink today, shall we? Now, because of what's in the periphery, I bet you can guess what brand of ink it is. I have it in sample form, and it's MontBlanc's relatively new permanent ink series. This one's blue. It's their permanent blue. And there's something weird about this ink. I can't put my finger on it. About its drying or something. So all the tests were done in this AG Spalding and Brothers pen. Yeah, there we go. And as you can see, it's a pop top cap, and generally it has a good seal, but I had a lot of problems with the ink drying out on the nib. And in fact, it's still in there. Let's see if it'll even start up right away. Oh, well, good for it. Cool. However, it was drying out like in the feed a lot if I didn't use it for more than a day or two. So maybe make sure it's in a really well sealed cap or a screw-on or something, because that was a bit of a problem. Okay, first of all, when you get it in a bottle, it'll come in a 60 milliliter bottle like this, but their new look for it is the permanent inks, instead of having this dark colored label, it'll be white, and then it'll have like a stripe of blue or black depending on the ink color. Same with their cartridge packs, they'll be white with a little bit of blue, so you won't accidentally buy a permanent ink if you're just looking for the regular ink, so yeah. Check out the chromatography. Now here's how you're supposed to do the chromatography, where you put the ink and then instantly dunk it in the water. As you can see, there is a little bit of movement, but really not much. And then here's where I let it dry, where there was no movement at all. And actually, I was so doubtful that I sort of left it in the water for a while, and it nearly went all the way to the top. So, this is a very water-resistant ink. But there's something about the look of it and the texture, which is, I'm not sure I've ever seen anything quite like it before, which I feel like you kind of see in this little swabby. Oh, and so I tested it against water, ammonia, alcohol, like grain alcohol, you know, like you find in like hardware stores, not the stuff you find at pharmacies, you know, that's like 98.5%. Anyways, and bleach. And you can see the bleach kind of broke it up a little bit, but I actually think that's just the paper. But, yeah, as you can see, there's something weird about this. I mean, it's kind of cool, but I thought I'd compare it to Diatramentis' Document Dark Blue, which is also a permanent ink. I did all the same tests there. Diatramentis just straight up Document Blue. Diatramentis Document Turquoise. And then from the Warden series, from Noodlers, Bad Blue Heron and Bad Belted Kingfisher. There is something very unique about this ink. So, Clairefontaine, 90 grams per square meter. You get shading, which admittedly is not something you always see in a permanent ink. And it's actually really kind of nice shading. And there's something even unique about the shading itself. I don't know if it'll come up on camera. I highly suggest that you try this. I was cautious because, admittedly, you know, we all hear things about permanent ink, so I put it in a pen that, worst case scenario, I wouldn't mind losing. But actually, after all of this, I am very impressed. So it took 9 seconds to dry. It doesn't sheen, but there's almost like a shiny thing going on. I'm not going to get it on camera because that's just my luck. But yeah, it was really well behaved. Oh, also, if you're like, you know, writing continuously, that's great. But if you're like, you know, if you hold your pen away from the paper and you're just like, you know, occasionally checking things off or underlining something, the ink will dry on the nib a bit. So that is something to be cautious of. Don't leave it open for prolonged periods of time. But yeah, look at that water test. Assuming the camera will focus. I really scrubbed. That's the only reason why it looks like that. Like here, listen. And it's still really there, really bonded to the paper. And you can barely see where I did a bleach test, which was right about here. And then that was the water test. Next is Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter. It was pretty much the same thing all over again. Great shading, 7 seconds to dry, really not too bad. It's still kind of shiny. I don't know if I'm going to get this on camera this time, but perpetual hope and all that. I mean, really great shading, and there's something about the texture of the ink on the paper. It's really kind of unique, but yeah, again, fantastic water test, and I really scrubbed it, like, and again, you can't even see where the bleach was. I mean, you can kind of tell from the back, but just because it warped the page a little, but yeah, even, I mean, bleach did not move it. Here's Tomoe River Paper, where again, you get this very interesting sort of shading. I really don't know how to define the texture of it. And yeah, texture is the only word I can think of. 14 seconds to dry. Here I tried to lay it on really thick to see if it would shine. It does kind of shine. I'm not going to get it on camera, but I think it sort of shows that weird texture you get. But yeah, 14 seconds to dry, which on Tomoe River for a permanent ink isn't too bad. Water test, again, really scrubbed it, like, there. Yeah, and again, the bleach test. You can't even tell that there was a bleach test. Except from the back, it gets a little wonky. Now, this is the lamest 20-pound copier paper ever made. But even on here, you still get some shading. 4 seconds to dry. And look at that. There's like a little bit of bleed at the edge. And that's it. There's no bleed. I mean, lately, even extra fine nibs have been bleeding through this paper. That's how awful this paper is. But something about this ink, it's like it can tame the beast. I don't know. It's fantastic. And there is spread, and yeah, it's you know, it's not as thin a line. Like if you look, the line definitely got broader, and as you can see, there is a bit of feathering. But yeah, I mean, I don't know the last time I've seen that kind of performance on this paper, just because it's so awful. And again, very clean, very simple water test. Didn't dye the page. You know, again, the paper was like coming apart, but it's still really there. Very clear. Now, next is Mead Notebook Paper, which, you know, people who went to school in the United States will be very familiar with this stuff. It's very thin, it's very cheap, you know, it's what our lab books are made out of, you know. And, I mean, this says just how crappy this paper is. Lately, Mead's been outperforming this, but even still, you know, it's a very absorbent paper, and even on here, there is no bleed. I mean, it's not even like an echo. Like, even in the scrub where I really laid it on, it's the only place where you can even vaguely make out that there's something on that other side. That supremely impressed me. That is amazing. And there's no feathering either. It's very clean writing. You still get some shading. It's amazing. Yeah, again, really scrub the paper. You can definitely, you might even be able to see it. But yeah, it didn't, you know, the paper came apart, but it didn't come off. Bleach test, you can see it got a tiny bit lighter, but yeah, that might just be just the paper breaking down from the bleach, so. Now, here's the ultimate test. Contemporary, modern, Moleskine notebook paper. You still get shading. You don't get feathering. There's no spread. It dried in 9 seconds, which is kind of long comparatively, but look at that. It's fine. It's perfect. It's perfectly good. But look at that. No bleed. You can't even tell if there's something on the other side, unless I like hold it up to the light. I don't know the last time I've seen anything like this. Again, water test, I really scrubbed the paper. Like you probably can see it here. Like fibers are kind of coming up, but yeah, bleach test didn't move. Oh, well, paper's coming apart because it's bleach, but yeah. So there you go. There's MontBlanc's Permanent Blue. I highly, highly recommend that you give this thing a try, just because I don't think I've ever encountered anything quite like it. It does amazing things. I'm actually kind of in awe. This is the kind of weird, freakish performance that I've only come to expect from, you know, some very, you know, select noodlers inks. So the fact that MontBlanc went this far and did this, I'm actually really impressed, because I would have assumed that they wouldn't want to do the permanent ink thing because of their fancy schmancy pens. But this has really kind of blown me away. So for your consideration from the Triple N Network, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching. Bye.